A warm good afternoon to one and all. I, Dr. Mamtaj Walikar, Associate Professor, Department of Roganidana. Today's eminent personality, Dr. Prasanna Mogsale sir. Sir is Associate Professor, Department of Roganidana, SDM College of Udupi. Now I call upon Dr. Sneha, second year PG scholar, Ayurved Mahavidyalaya Hubli, to introduce guest speaker to the gathering.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Sroto Anveshana Session 2. Myself, Dr. Sneha Nadkatin, PG Scholar, Rog Nidan Department, welcome you all. I am pleased to introduce today's eminent speaker, Dr. Prasanna Mogsale sir. Sir has completed his BAMS degree from STM College of Ayurveda and MD in Kaya Chikitsa from Government Ayurveda College, Mysore in the year 2000. Currently, Sir is working as Associate Professor in the Department of Roganidan in SDM College of Ayurveda, Udupi. Sir has 20 years of teaching experience for UG students and 17 years of teaching experience for PG scholars. Sir has guided more than 20 PG scholars. Sir has published many articles in national and international journals on various aspects. Sir has delivered speech on multiple topics too. Sir is a well-known practitioner also. We would love to hear from you, sir. The session is yours, sir.
Thank you. Hope I'm audible. Thank you. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Right. Good afternoon. Ragadirogan satatan shaktan asheshakayan prasatan asheshan Autsukya moharatidan jaganayo apurva vaidyaya namostu tasme. My prayers to Lord Dhanvantari and all my teachers seeking blessings, even our principal, Dr. A.S. Prashant. Though I was not his direct student, classroom student, I was student when he was there in Advas. So in the year 1996 to 2000. So 1996 to 97, I used to visit him very frequently. I was influenced to Ayurveda. One of the influencing person for me is Dr. A.S. Prashant, your principal. At the outset, I would like to thank the management, principal, and Department of Roganidana, especially Dr. Raju, HOD, Dr. Purnima, Dr. Mamtaj, Dr. Mahima, and all the faculties of Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya Hubli for inviting me to speak on the topic Pranava Shrutas. 2 days back, Dr. Raju called me, asked me to speak on the topic. So then immediately I asked which topic, because I don't like Manas Roga. So immediately his sir said Pranava Shrutas. So immediately I agreed. But at the next sentence, he said, I am supposed to speak for 45 minutes and followed by, there will be an interaction session for another 45 minutes to 1 hour. Of course, I was enthusiastic to speak on the topic, but after listening that, I felt, oh, this is something difficult. Still, I did not want to lose the opportunity. And there is one popular story. Once in the examination in a medical college, there was a question. And the question is from anatomy. And the question for 2 marks, that is short answer. The question is explain gastrointestinal tract. And all the students were seeing here and there what to do, what to write. Such a big topic in for 2 marks. And one student wrote, the gastrointestinal tract starts from right hand and ends with the left hand. My situation is today like that only, but I don't want to escape from the responsibility. So in my, as a student in UG, PG, somewhere around 9 years, we will be studying Ayurveda. We need to study around 5.5 plus 3 years, and almost like 9 years, then 20 years of teaching. Now I feel that I need to speak something which I understood. And whatever I speak need not be truth. There is only one truth in this world. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Nityam. Shankaracharya said, Acharya Shankaracharya said. But in that occasion, this whole system of medicine, the Ayurveda or any other system becomes Mithya. So, thing is, here, whatever I pursued in my last 20 plus 9 years of my career in the field of Ayurveda, my life in the field of Ayurveda, I wanted to tell. This may be truth. This is truth for me. For today, of course. Next year, if you ask me, I may say something different also. That is possible, because there is nothing like there is no permanent truth. The truth varies from time to time and place to place. So this is my effort. This is my here I'm going to speak about Pranavashrutas, and this is my effort to convey my understanding of Pranavashrutas to you all, the listeners. Now, the introduction, so we need to start from Shrotas itself. So Shrotas. Apicha eke Shrotasameva samudayam purusham ichanti sarvagatatva sarvasaratva cha dosha prakopana prashamanana. Apicha eke Shrotasam eva samudayam purusham icchati. Purusha is nothing but Shrotas samudaya. The samudaya of Shrotas is Purusha, because the whole body is made up of Shrotas, sarvagatatvat. It is present all over the body, and something is moving in these Shrotas, and that variation in the Shrotas, that is dosha prakopa prashama in the body as such. Everything is because of the Shrotas. So that means Purusha is equal to Samudaya, Shrotasa Samudaya. So in that occasion, it gives a message that, so there is a Shrotas in the body. But we have 11 pairs of Shrotas, we have 13 Shrotas. We have different Shrotas. Why? If human body is Shrotas, then why we have different Shrotas? Of course, Charaka says, Natu eta devam. Of course, it is true, human body is Shrotas. But it doesn't mean that everything is same. No, it is different. In what way it is different? He says, Yasya hi Shrotamsi yaccha vahanti yaccha avahanti yaccha yatra cha avastitani sarvam tad anyebhya. What it means? Yasya hi Shrotamsi yad gatitani iti artha. Yaccha vahanti iti yad rasadi vahanti iti artha. Yaccha avahanti iti yaccha pushyanti iti artha. Yatra avastitani iti yatra mamsado sambaddhani iti artha. Sarvam tad anyebhya tat sarvam damanibhyo anyat. So to understand this particular the five statements, we need to understand the synonyms of Shrotas, and we need to segregate the synonyms. Thereby we need to understand what is Shrotas. If you look into the synonyms of Shrotas, Shrotam, Sisiraha, Damanyaha, Rasayanyaha, Rasavahinyaha, Nadyaha, Pantanaha, Margaha, Sharira, Chidrani, Samvrutani, Asamvrutani. स्थानानि आशय निकेताश्चेति शरीर धातु अवकाशानां लक्षाणां नामानि भवन्ति. So if you analyze this particular description, the first line, Srotamsi Sira Damanya up till Samvrutani, explains something, a channel. Srotis is nothing but a channel or a passage. That's what it is called as Margaga Shrotas. In the commentary, it is discussed Margaga Shrotas and Sthanastha Shrotas. So Margaga Shrotas, all these synonym explains the Margaga Shrotas. And the other thing, that is sthana, ani, ashaya, niketascheti, sharira, dhatu, avakashanam, lakshanam, namani bhavanti. So this is nothing but sthanastha shrotas. What is this sthanastha and margaga? Sthanastha iti ashestha. Sthanadi paryayat kechid damani mulasya paryayana chakshati. Some scholars believe that shrotas is nothing but damani. So sthanastha shrotas is nothing but damani moola, or it is a moola of the shrotas. Margakas cheti damani bhi gacchanta, anyeto etanapi damani paryayana, damanyo apihi rasadisthanam bhavante veti kratva. So this is a difference, sthanastha shrotas and margaga shrotas. Some of the shrotas are sthanastha, that is moola, and some shrotas are, it is the channel, it is just this channel. Now with this background, let me move on to that. Yes, he Srotamsi, yad gatithani iti artha. So yad gatithani iti artha. How the Shrotas is formed? By what the Shrotas is formed? How the model, the Shrotas is formed? So it is said, Garbhase akritplihano shonitajo, shonita fena prabhavaha pusaha, shonita kitta prabhavaha unduka. Like this it is in the Sharirasthana. I have placed only one simple reference. Of course, there are a lot more references because this topic is Pranavaha, and of course, it is not my topic today. Still, contextual description. Similarly, in Ashtanga Sangraha, Radayam punaha sleshma rakta prasadat sambhavati padmakosha sankashaha sushiram adomukham. So now, there are a lot of description regarding different avayava in the body, how it is formed, by what it is formed. Yad gatithani iti artha. By what these structures are formed. If you go through the descriptions, these sthanastha shrotas, yasya hi srotamsi, yad gatithani iti artha. That means how, by what it is formed. It is formed out of rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda. All the structures are made up of rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda. In general, of course, in specific, we have a description. Right, as I told, Sushruta Sharira 4th and Sushruta Ashtanga Sangraha Sharira 5th. That is Sthanastha Shrotas, how it is formed. Then, now the description is Yacha Vahanti iti yad rasadi vahanti iti artha. So rasadi vahanti, that means it is Margaga Shrotas. It is Margaga Shrotas. Now I am going to give a statement. That is rasa, rakta, udaka, sweda, mutra, that is damani, that is artery. And prana, anna, mutra, purisha, that is simple, channel. It's a passage. And now you might have, of course, for you, if I say channel, a passage, then you will agree, no doubt. But if I say, other than rasa, rakta, if I say udaka, sweda, mutra as damani, that is margaga shrotas, then you may not accept it. If I say it is artery, you may not accept it. But I am having reference from Samhita itself. Vyanena rasadhaturhi vikshepochita karmana yugapat sarvato ajasram dehe vikshipite sada. Vyanamata sthana is radaya. From the radaya, it carries rasadhatu all over the body, thereby it maintains the normal functions of the body. And this particular function is sadaha, it is a continuous process. Ajasram sadaha, it is a continuous process. From the Vyanasthana, that is Radaya. What is rasa here? The commentator Chakrapani says, Raso dravadaturuchyate tena rudiradinam api dravanam grahanam bhavati. So what Chakrapani says, So rasa here refers to rasa raktadi dravadhatu. Rasa raktadi dravadhatu is carried by the influence of Jnanavata from the Hridaya to all over the body, thereby the normal functions. Of course, okay, that rasa rakta is over. Now, what is Udaka Sweda Mutra? It is said in a Dallana, Sushruta Sharira, 9th chapter, sloka number 7, that is Adoga Damani. In the context, he says, Nahi Pittashe, Rasa Mutra Purisha Bhavena Vipacchamanasya Aharasya Anna Bhavo Asti. Napi toyasya toya bhavana. Tena toyam matra bhavishyato mutrasya karanabhutha pakvahara vivekajam dravam. Ayam udakam ivodakam tadapi dve eva vahata tad eva udakam basti vivara praptam mutram iti uchante. So this is the description. So what Dalana says here, so in Pitthashaya, that is Amapakkashaya Madhyabhaga, where the food is digested, but the gross food, the waste of the gross food, when it reaches the Unduka, then only it is Purisha. Till then it is Vipachamana Anna. Vipachamana Ahara only. So similarly, the Sarakitta Vibhajana takes place, that Toya Bhaga is taken into the system. That Toya Bhaga contains Rasabhava. Toya Bhaga contains Udaka. Toya Bhaga contains Mutra. Toya Bhaga contains Sweda. That's what in the commentary, Sweda dosha, sorry, in the Charaka Samhita, Sweda doshambuvahini srotamshi samadishita antaragnescha parshvasa. Sweda dosha ambuvashrotas, everything is linked to the intestine. Antaragnescha parshvasa. So that's what. But there in Antaragni part or in the Pitthashaya part, it is not Mutra or Sweda, it is only Udaka. That Udaka enters the Rasasthana. From Rasasthana, it moves all over the body. That Udaka, when it reaches Basti, it forms Mutra. When it reaches Romakupa, then it forms Sweda. But till then, it is Sweda Bhava is there in the Udaka. So that means Rasa, Rakta, Udaka, Sweda, Mutra, everything is moving from the Hridaya. And that movement is facilitated by the Jnanavata. So that's the reason I said Rasa Rakta Udaka Sweda Mutra, that is Dhamani, that is artery, Prana Anna Mutra Purisha is channel. So that is Marga Gashrotas, Yacha Vahanti, that is over now. Yacha Ahohanti. What is Yacha Ahohanti? Yacha Ahohanti iti, Yacha Pushyanti iti artha. Pushyanti, to which it is going to nourish. To which it is going to nourish. Now, Vahanti, that is going to nourish what? What structure? Which structures? It should be Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Majja, Shukra, Upadatu, even the Ojas. Of course, not that, not only that, all the structures in the body, like that of the channels, that is Annavashrotas, that is Pranavashrotas, Mutravashrotas, Purishvashrotas, also made of certain dhatu. These dhatus are nourished by Margagashrotas, that is Echa Vahanti. So here I have given one or two examples to justify. It is said, Tasam Pratamam Mamsadaraha Yasyam Mamse Sirasnayu Damani Srotasam Pratana Bhavanti. In the Mamsa also, Damani Srotasam Pratana Bhavanti. There will be branches of Srotas. That means there are multiple capillary beds in the muscles also. Similarly, we know that Asti is responsible Deha Dharana. Sneho Dharana Purnesha, Sneha Dharana by Asti. Asti is this hard structure, but Asti is nourished by, Chakrapani says, Astyapi Dravarupam Asteva Sroto Vahyam iti Kratva Asti Vahanyam iti Uktam. Asti, though it is hard structure, it is nourished by Asti Vahashrotas, it is nourished by Dravarupa content. Dravarupa content, that is there is a Shrotavahya. Inside there is the channels. There is a channels. So that is Yacha Avahanti refers to Yacha Pushyanti. That is all the structures that is present in the body. Then Yatra cha avastithani, yatra mamsadau sambandhani iti artha. So now there is a mamsa. That is Stanika Srotas, Sthanastha Srotas. And there is Margaga Sutras, Rasaraktadi, we know that. Now, Yatra cha avastithani, how avasthita, Mamsaudau Sambadhaniti, that is the capillary bed, that is arteriole and venules. That is, it is very clearly said. That is, those example, Mamsatara, Asti, and of course you have one more, Bastistu, Mutradaro, Ambuvahanam, Sarvasrotasanam, Udadirivapaganam. Basti is connected with Sarva Shrotas. Basti is connected with Sarva Shrotas. Sarva Shrotas means whole body. Connected. Basti is connected with the Sarva Shrotas. That means to the Ambuha Shrotas it is connected. Because from the Ambu, it removes the Kleda. From the Ambu, it removes the Kleda. That Kleda is Mutra. So Basti is connected with Sarva Sharira. That means it is Mamsadau Sambandhaniti refers to the capillary bed that is present in the tissue. Further, Sarvam tad anyattebhya tat sarvam dhamanibhyo anyat. So with this, the concluding issue, that is Rasa Rakta, Udaka, Sweda, Srotas, artery, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Majja, Shukra, Prana, Anna, Purisha, Mutra has a capillary bed, and Prana, Anna, Purisha, Mutra are channels. Now, coming to the Pranava Shrotas, Pranava Srotasam Radayam Moolam Mahasrotascha. Now, Pranavahanam iti Pranasamnyaka Vatavahanam. This is very important. Why there is Pranava? Why there is a Shrotas called Pranava Shrotas? Because Pranasamnyaka Vatavahanam Yetacha Pranakya Visistasya Vayor Visistas Srotah. There is Pranasamnyaka Vata is moving in the Srotas. This prana is there all over the body in the Dhamani. That is Samanyana Vayu Sarva Eva Dhamanya iti na Virodha. Samanya it is there. The prana Vayu, that the inhaled air will be moving all over the body. That is different. But here Visishta Srotas is mentioned because Pranasamnyaka Vata Vahana. Pranasamnyaka Vata Vahana refers to that is the respiratory system, that is the inspiration and expiration takes place in the tracho. That is nothing but the trachobronchial tree. That is trachobronchial tree. Now there is a question now. Pranasamnyaka Vata and what is Pranavata? Is there any difference? Of course, there is a difference. This particular difference we need to understand. Otherwise, to understand the Shwasa Samprapti becomes difficult. Now, Tatra Prano Murdani Avastitha Kantora Charaha, that is Pranavata from Shiras to Uras. It moves, Sthana is Murda. Then he says Buddhi Indriya Radaya Mano Damani Dharana Stivana Kshavatudgara Pashwasochwasa Anna Pravesha Adikriya. Buddhi, higher mental functions. Indriya, both motor and sensory functions. Radaya, once again, autonomous nervous system. Then Manas, higher mental functions. Damani, that is autonomous nervous system. Then Stivana, Kshavatudgara, Prashvasocha, autonomous nervous system. So it is nothing but the nervous system. Pranavata regulates the whole nervous system. Same thing is told in Charaka. I will skip this slide. Next. There is, with this it is different. Now it is very clear. Pranavata is different and Prana Samnyaka Vatavaha. So it is different. Now its Moola. Prana Sota Moola is said as Radayam Moolam Masotas. What is Radayam Moola? Already I have discussed Vyani Rasadhaturhi. Because Vyana Vata takes Rasaraktadi Dhatu. What is the function of Rasarakta Dhatu? Prinanam Jivanam Lepo Sneho Dharana Purane. You know that. Now, Jivanam, that is karma of Rakta. Jivanam is karma of Rakta. What is Jivana? It is said that Prana Dharanam Raktasya. Rakta holds the prana. That is Prana Samnyaka Vayu. That means the oxygen is dissolved in the blood. The oxygen is dissolved in the blood. That's what Hemadri. Similarly, Dallana also said, Raktam Jivayathi Prananuvartanam Karot. Prana Anuvartana. The Rakta follows Prana. That means it is dissolved. It is there in the Rakta itself. That's the reason life exists. That's the reason life exists. So that is Rasa Rakta from Hridaya moves all over the body. And that's the reason this dissolved air will be moving all over the body, and that is present. That's the reason Vayu is present all over the body. As said in the previous slide, Samanyena tu Vayu sarva eva damanya iti na virodaha. It is there all over the body in the Damani. And further, what is this Mahashrotas? So now when we speak about Mahashrotas, we should keep in our mind that we are speaking about Prana Mahashrotas. What is Prana Mahashrotas? Prana Samyaka Vata Mahashrotas. That is, it is related with the respiration. Am I audible? Right? Right. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Now, Prana Samyaka Vata Mahashrotas. Mahashrotas here refers to, in that Shrotas, Prana Samyaka Vata should go. Prana Samyaka Vata should move. Now there is some disturbance. Somebody opened their speaker now. Anyway, now Prana Samyaka Vata should move in the Prana Mahashrotas. What is Mahashrotas? Generally we say Kosta. Kosta Punaruchate Mahasrota Sharira Madhya Sharira. We know that this. And further speaking about Mahashrotas in the context of Vata Gurma, Chakrapani says, Mahasroto Grahanena Bastirapi Grahyate Tata Vata Gulma Eva Radhi Basto Ityadi Kratam. So the Chakrapani has given a clue. That clue, Mahasrotas doesn't refer to all the structures of Kosta. It may be a part of Shrotas. It may be a structure pertaining to the Shrotas. So now what is the Kosta? Sthanani Amagni Pakwana Mutrasya Rudrasya Cha Rutundaka Puppusascha Kosta Ityabi Diyate. So now here Mahashrotas probably we can say it refers to Puppusa itself. Puppusa itself, of course, most of you may not agree with this, but there is a Pata that is basically from Pratyaksha Sharira itself. Anyway, that Pata, it is said that Radayasya Ado Vamatha Pliha Pupusascha Dakshinato Yakrit Kloma Cha Iti Saushutaha Pataha Tatra Pramada Eva Daridrashate Radayasya Ado Vamatha Pliha Dakshinato Yakrit Ubayataha Kloma Pupusaucha Iti Sadiyan Patahas. Of course. Now, Pranavastatos refers to trachobronchial tree. Of course, it is in the puppusa. It is within the puppusa. We know that with the help of modern anatomy. So that I would prefer to say puppusa as Mahashrotas. Now, Prana Samyaka Vata Mahashrotas. Now, if you see, the Shrotas, when we speak about Shrotas, any channel has two ends, one end entry, another exit, like that. And now in our respiratory system, same route is entry and same route is exit. Of course, Charaka is well aware of this factor. He said, Samvrtani Asamvrtani as a synonym of Shrotas. What is this Samvrtani Asamvrtani? Samvrta Asamvrtani ti eke samnya. It is eke. It is one factor. What is that? Tatra agre samvrtani. That is agrabhaga in alveolar area. It is samvrtani. It is close to the alveolar area. Mule asamvrtani, the nose and the oral cavity, it is open. It is open. That is samvrtani asamvrtani. With this also, Pranavahashrotas refers to trachobronchial tree. Now, Samvrtani, Asamvrtani, with this particular description, same route is entry, same route is exit. Now, Uchvasa refers to Shwasa Nirgama and Nishwasa refers to Shwasa Pravesha. Inspiration is Nishwasa and expiration is Uchvasa. Expiration is, of course, Uchvasa. Now, with this background, now I have taken some 15, 20, 25 minutes. I will be proceeding to the diseases pertaining to the Pranavashrotas. Now, the diseases, Dvida Vyadayo Nijaganto Bhedena. So, Nija Roga and Agantu Roga. Agantu Roga, that is chest injuries, Pranavashrotas, trachobronchial tree, Radaya, along with the Radaya, because Radaya carries Vayu all over the body through the Damani. Chaturimsha Damani, as per Charaka and Dashadamani, as per Rasavai Nishadamani, as per Sushruta, whatever it is, the number not an issue for us. Now, chest injury, chest, the lungs, trachobronchial tree, lungs, and the heart is there. Now, any injury. So now injuries, they based on the mechanism of causing trauma to chest are of two types. It's a small error. Are of two types, that is penetrating trauma and blunt trauma. Chest injuries are potentially life-threatening because of immediate disturbance in cardiorespiratory physiology. That is most important for us. Immediate disturbance of cardiorespiratory physiology, hemorrhage, and later development of infection, damaged lung and thoracic cage. So cardiorespiratory disturbance and hemorrhage, that is immediate, and later consequences are infection, damaged lung and thoracic cage. Now, so when we speak about the injuries, generally we say pranava, vidya lakshana. Then we will straight away go to Sushruta Nidana, 9th chapter. We will give the reference tatra vidyasya akroshana vinamana mohana brahmana vepanani maranam va bhavati. The final result is said maranam, is going to die. Mostly it is fatal. And rest all doesn't explain cardiorespiratory, the alteration in the cardiorespiratory function. That is akroshana, vinamana, mohana, brahmana, vepana, all these doesn't explain cardiorespiratory failure, or doesn't explain the hemorrhage as such. Then whether Sushruta missed? No, Sushruta never missed this particular issue. He said in another context, Sushruta Chikitsa, 2nd chapter, Vidya Lakshana, that Kosta Vidya, tasmin binne raktapurne jvarodaha dascha jayate mutra marga gudasyebhyo raktam granacha gacchati murcha shwasa tridadmana abhaktachanda evacha vinmutra vata sangascha. That is vinmutra vata sangascha, that is cardiac failure. That is perfusion is impaired, right? That is then Svedasra Akshi Ragatha. Then like this the description says Ratchulam Parshvayuschapi. Now here in this context he says Tatra Ado Nabe Raktam Gudamutra Margabhyam Pravartate Nabe Urdhvam Mukagranabhyam. So Nabi, he used the term Nabi. Nabi, sometimes some people compare with that of the diaphragm, which divides the whole body. Nabi is center part of the body, that is the diaphragm, the upper part and lower part. So above the Nabi, or it may be something, sometimes it is the stomach also. If there is a bleeding in the stomach, it is vomited out through the mukha itself. So probably Nabi is Nabi only, or maybe the diaphragm, whatever it is. In such occasion, the bleeding from upper orifice, and if it is below the Nabi, it is bleeding from lower orifice, and the upper orifice, Shwasa, Vinmutra, Sangascha, Jwara, Ratchula, all these features that explains a sharp injury. Then of course, when there is Sroto injury, there is injury to the Shrotas, what happens? Sushruta Sutra 27, Pranashtashali says, Sroto gati, Srotasam, Swa karma guna hani, Swa karma guna hani riti, Rasadi vahanam, Srotasam, Rasadi vahanati. So that Srotogata karma doesn't take place. Pranava Srotas, the karma doesn't take place. That will be respiratory distress is explained once again in Sushruta Sutra also. So this is about sharp injuries. And blunt injuries, of course, anybody will say it is a urakshata or kshatakshina. Urakshata or kshatakshina, blunt injury, the consequences such as rib fracture, flail chest, and other consequences, that is well explained in the context of kshatakshina or urakshata. Of course, urakshata also encompasses, that is doshaja abhigata also, that is a rupture of emphysematous bulla, that is sometimes fatal. So that's what that is blunt trauma, that is urakshata. So I will not be briefing, I will not be elaborating this thing. Of course, if you go through the lakshana, that is every lakshana you can see the blunt injury. Most of the lakshana, not every, most of the lakshana you can see. Then coming to Nijarogas. And the Nijaroga, one of the important Nijaroga in the upper airways, Pratisha and penis, of course. It is very clearly said in the context of Rajakshma that Chakrapani says Pratisha is Pranava Sroto Vikara. I'm not going to deal with that particular topic because of the time factor. So now the next topic is that is Hikka. So you know that there are 5 types of Hikka. Annajam, Yamalam, Shudram, Gambiram, Mahatim, Tata, Vayu, Kapena Anugatha, Kapena Anugatha. So what is Kapena Anugatha Vayu? Vayu Kapena Anugata. Vayu Kapena Anugata refers to Prana Vayu. Prano Atra Vayu Rithi. And if you see the Pranavata Dushti, Nidana and Lakshana in Ashtanga Hridaya, there also he says Pinasardita Thrit Kasa Shwasa Adimscha Amayan Bahun. The commentator says Adi Shabdena Hidmada Yogarishante. This is Pranavata is affected in the context. And why he used the term Kafena Anugata? That is, see, it is a disease related with the chest. It is mainly related with the Kafasthana. This particular Hikka is related with the Kafasthana. I will come to that. So many a time, the disease of the head and neck, disease of the chest, disease of the lungs, disease of the heart, disease of the diaphragm, the stomach, and even the subdiaphragmatic area and even the kidneys can produce hiccup. Of course, kapasthana, that is chest and above the, I mean the jatruda, that is head and neck, definitely kapasthana, no doubt. And why? How come the spleen? How to explain spleen? And this of stomach, spleen, how to explain this? Of course, that is amashaya. That is amashaya. And how to explain kidney? It is very clear. There are 3 parallel systems in the body. One is Paranavashrotas, another is Annavashrotas, another is Mutravashrotas. These are parallel systems. And in the Mutravashrotas, Amasha and Pakvasha once again. And Amasha, Mutravashrotas is nothing but the kidney that I can discuss later at the end. And the disease of kidney can produce the hiccup. And Amasha is Kapasthana. That's the reason it is Vayuhu Kapena Anugata, Kapasthanugata. So, Kapasthana. That is what the hiccup. And here to understand the Samprapti Pranodaka Annavahini Srotamsi Sakapo Anila Hikkam Karoti Samruddhya Udaka, that is Udaka is related with the Mutra, that is the kidney also. That's the reason Prana Udaka Anna, all that we can justify. Now, before that, we need to understand pathophysiology of hiccup. So here in the pathophysiology, pathology affecting the brain, diaphragm, thoracic or abdominal viscera can stimulate vagal or phrenic afferents to activate the diffuse hiccup center in the midbrain, brainstem and the proximal cervical cord. This triggers repetitive myoclonic contractions of the diaphragm and other respiratory muscles via the phrenic and intercostal nerves. Immediately afterwards, activation of recurrent narradial nerve closes the glottis, producing the characteristic hic in hiccups. And if you see the Samprapti of Hikka, Pranodaka Annavahini Srotamsi Sakapo Anilaha Hikka Karote Samrudyas Tasam Lingam Pratakshuno. So I explained that is a Udaka. Udaka, we have to consider the Basti also. That's the Basti related. Udaka, that Toya when reaches the Basti, then only Mutra. Okay, so that is related in that way. Then pathology affecting the brain, diaphragm, thoracic and abdominal viscera can stimulate vagal or phrenic afferent nerves, that is Anilaha, Srotamsa Kapo, Anilaha, Hikkam Karoti something. So now Vata gets vitiated. The pathology of this area stimulates the Vata. Then Marutaha Pranavahini Srotamsi Avishyaha Kupyati Urasta Kapam Udduya Hikkan Shwasan Karotisa. So stimulated vagal or the phrenic nerve, afferent nerves activates the diffuse hiccup center in the midbrain, brainstem.
There is a network disturbance. Please wait.
So
Yeah.
I hope this is visible and audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Visible and audible. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I will take another half an hour. Kindly excuse. Right.
Sir,
Another 15 minutes as per your right.
sir,
Anyway,
it's okay.
okay, so let me continue now. That is the last, the description, that is hence repetitive myoclonic contractions of diaphragm and upper respiratory muscles takes place. Immediately afterwards, activation of recurrent laryngeal nerve closes the glottis, producing the characteristic in hiccups. So this is about hikka samprapti. Of course, you should be very keen in this context. Hikka samprapti explains pathophysiology of hiccup only, not the samprapti of it explains only the mechanism. It doesn't explain the pathogenesis. It explains only the mechanism of hiccup, not the disease as such. That's the reason hikka samprapti is only the lakshana samprapti, not vyadhi samprapti. Like samprapti is of two types. Of course, that is not there in text. It is the analysis part. So one is Lakshana Samprapti, another is Vyadhi Samprapti. You have Vyadhi Samprapti of Staulya in Sushruta, and you have Lakshana Samprapti Ashtamaha Dosha. It's Samprapti in Charaka. So Lakshana Samprapti and Vyadhi Samprapti. So Hikka Samprapti, what is there in the text, it explains only the Lakshana, how the hiccup develops. Okay. Now coming to Mahahika. So Mahahika, that is Kshina Mamsa Bala Prana Tejasaha Sa Kapo Anilaha. I have highlighted certain things here. That is moribund patients, particularly where, because of what? Patient is in deathbed. Patient is deathbed, highly critical case. Patient critically ill, moribund patient. And where, what is the reason for that? Pranaha sotamsi marmani samruddhya. That is probably refers to pranaha sotas, that is shira, to the chest. Of course, I myself limit this particular thing to the head and neck only. So Mahahika is disease of head and neck producing hiccup, and if you go through the hikka shwasa nidana, there marmanogatat is one of the nidana. Visha, the urea, then uremia, there will be hiccup, that is visha, endogenous, that is malasanchaya, that is can produce a hiccup. So that's what mahahika. Then coming to gambhira hikka, pravruddhastu krisho deenamana anaraha. Krisho, chronic debilitating disease of which area? Jarjarena urasaha. Jarjarena urasaha. Probably the disease of chest, if it is producing hiccup, that is Gambhira hiccup, that is once again Raukshat, that is a chronic disease, chronic illness, then Marmanogata, Dvandvat, Pratishaya, Kshatakshayat, all this, that is Gambhira hiccup, the disease of chest producing hiccup, and Vyapeta hiccup, ya Annapane Chaturvide, Pralapa Vamyati Sara Trishnartasya Vichetasaha. So that is Ama Pradosha, Anaha, Ati Apatarpana, Shuddhyati Yogataha, Ati Sara, Jwara, Chardi, Vishuchika, Alasakadi, then Visha, all these, once again, this is of GAT, probably infective pathology, whatever it is, this can produce hiccup, that is Vyapeta hiccup. Then Kshudra hiccup is non-specific, that is mostly because of physical exercise. We also experienced this particular Kshudra hiccup many a time. And Annaj hiccup, when we go for a dinner, special dinner, when we go for a function and have heavy food, sometimes we also experience Annaj hiccup. So I will not be elaborating these two. I will straight away move to Shwasa, because Shwasa, many a time we will be treating Shwasa very seriously, not the hiccup in our routine practice, general practice. Of course, we treat, but not very common like Shwasa. Now, before starting Shwasa, we must understand certain things. Shwasa term refers to normal respiration. Shwasa term refers to abnormal pattern of breathing also. That is Shwasastu Bastrikadmana Sama Vatordvagamiti. That is abnormal pattern of breathing also. And we know that Uchvasa, Nishvasa, I don't want to repeat. And Pranavashoto Dushti Lakshana, Atasishtam, Matibaddam, Kupitam, Alpa Alpam, Abhishtam, Va, Sashabda Shulam, Uchvasantam, Drishtva, Pranavahan, Yasya, Srotamsi, Pradushtaniti, Vidyat. Now, here, Atasishtam, Matibaddam, prolonged, restricted, or obstructed. Kupitam, agitated. Alpa, Abhishtam, Alpa Alpam, Abhishtam, shallow and deep. Then Sashabda Shulam, with abnormal sounds and with the pain. So if you see the 5 types of, if you go through the 5 types of Shwasa, that is Shudra Stamaka Chinno, Mahan Urdhvascha Panchama. That is Shudra is agitated, Tamaka is prolonged and obstructed, Chinna is shallow and deep, Maha is deep and abnormal sound, Urdhva is restricted and abnormal added sounds. Now, one by one, Urdhva, that is acute pulmonary edema. So in the context, it is said that Dirgam Shwasati Atturdvam Nacha Pratyaharastadya Sleshma Vrata Mukasruta Krudda Gandha Vaharditha. So Dirgam Shwasati Shwasasya Bahirgamanam Dirgakalam Karoti. So that is, expiration is relatively prolonged and inspiration, there will be inspiratory difficulty, and it is because of Sleshma Vrata Mukasruta. That is very, very important. Sleshmavrata mukashrota, in which shrotas? Pranava shrotas. Right? Sleshmavrata mukashrota. So that results, of course, other manifestation, anxious, restless, all that manifestation, and it is usually fatal. And if you see the pathogenesis, that is accumulation of fluid in the shrotas, that is acute pulmonary edema, resulting in severe respiratory distress, that urdhvashasa prakupito adashvasa niruddhate. Then ultimately, Aratipeditha, tissue hypoxia, unconsciousness, and it is fatal. It is definitely acute pulmonary edema, urdhvashvasa. And if you see, look into the Nidana, Marmanogatat, Pandurogat, of course, I added Shota because in Sushuta, Uttara, while explaining Shwasa Chikitsa, he says, Pandurogeshu, Shoteshu, Ye Yoga Samprakirtita, Shwasa Kasa Pahaste Api, Kasagna, Yechakirtita. Sushuta added even Shota. Shota is also responsible for Shwasa Kasa. So that is, Shota is one of the important Nidana in the manifestation of Urdhvashasa. Then coming to the Mahashwasa. Mahashwasa is metabolic acidosis. Duya manavato va yaha shabdavad dukkito nara ucche shwasiti samruddho mattarsya baivanima. That is deep, prolonged, labored breathing, rapid breathing, heard loudly, inspiratory difficulty, prolonged expiration, impaired functions of bowel and kidney, Baddha Mutra Varcha, that is metabolic acidosis, usually Baddha Mutra Varcha, that is metabolic acidosis, okay? Then altered orientation, intelligence, altered state of consciousness, and it is fatal. That's what. And Mahashwasa, that is metabolic acidosis. If you see the Kussmaul's breathing, metabolic acidosis results in Kussmaul's breathing. It's a form of hyperventilation, very deep and labored breathing with increased frequency found among people with severe metabolic acidosis. And the causes of metabolic acidosis, Atisara, Vishuchika, Alasaka, Charbi, then Shodana Atiyoga, Ati, Apatarpana, Prameha, Upadrava, Marma, Gata, Visha, etc. And if you look into the metabolic acidosis description, that is excess production of acids, diabetic acidosis, then hyperchloremic acidosis results from excessive loss of sodium bicarbonate from the body, severe diarrhea, severe dehydration, then lactic acidosis, alcohol, liver, such conditions. Let me continue to Chinnashwasa. So Chinnashwasa, I think there will not be any doubt. This is a respiratory center induced, that is the chain strokes breathing, periodic breathing, that's cluster breathing, all that. So here there is a breathless, there will be dyspnea interspersed by a period of apnea that is characteristic. Yastu shvasati with chinnam. Nava, that is Nava shvasati. That's what shvasati with chinnam iti nishvasasya punah kshanantena shvasati. Nava shvasati na shvasam labate. So that's what there is a period of apnea followed by breathing. So it is also a fatal condition. There will be cyanosis and it is usually fatal. So if you go through chain strokes breathing, I need not explain, everybody knows. And Biot's respiration, ataxic respiration. So if you see, all that comes under Chinna Shwasa, and this Chinna Shwasa is because of Marmanogatat. So that is lesions of bulbar centers of respiration, medulla oblongata, cerebrovascular accident, encephalitis, traumatic brain injury, brain tumors, cardiac failure. Such occasion you'll be seeing. Then coming to Tamakashwasa, that is Tamakashwasa, that is generally we call it as the bronchial asthma. That is hyper responsive bronchial tree is responsible for that. You know that, I need not explain in detail. That is ativa tivra vegam cha shwasam pranapidakam pratamyati vegascha kasate sanirudyate pramoham kasamanascha. So you know that sudden onset of severe breathlessness, prolonged expiration, usually paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, cough syncope, temporarily relieved by expectoration. All that you know, I need not explain this particular thing. So, and what is it is generally compared with that of bronchial asthma. Is there any such a samprapti in Ayurveda? Of course, it is explained, but to see bronchial asthma in Shwasa, that we need to combine Hikka Shwasa Samprapti, Shwasa Samprapti, and Tamaka Shwasa Samprapti. So if you club these, that is nothing but bronchial asthma. So the first reference, Hikka Shwasa Samprapti, Marutaha Pranavahini Sotamsi Avishyaha Kupyati Urasta Kapamudduyam Hikka Shwasan Karoti Saha. So now here, Maruta Pranavahini Sotamsha. The first and foremost manifestation in bronchial asthma is bronchospasm. It is because of the vata. Sankoch is because of vata. Marutaha pranavahini srotamsya vishakupeti. Pranavata, vishated vata. Pranavata vishates pranavasrotas. The mechanism starts from bronchospasm. It is well explained in Hikka Shwasa Samprapti. And this, because of the bronchospasm, there will be mucosal edema. That's what he says, urasta kapam udduyam. There will be mucosal edema in the trachobronchial tree. Urasta kapam udduyam. Further he says, yada srotamsi samruddhyam marutaha kapha purvaka. Now in this context, maruta refers to not the pranavata. This is inhaled air. This is inhaled air. Inhaled air is entrapped now. What he says, yada srotamsi samruddhyaha maruta. Samruddhya maruta means inhaled air is entrapped by the kapha purvaka. So innermost layer is mucosal edema, mucosal area, mucosal layer, and mucosal layer there will be edema, and bronchospasm is there. The overall the caliber of the Srotas is reduced, now resulting in entrapment of air. That is Vishwakrajati Samruddhastata Shwasan. Vishwakrajati means Sarvatogachi. That means the entrapped air will be collected in the distal airways only. Then further he says, Pratilomam yada vayu srotamsi prati. In this way, entrapped air will be collected in the prana srotas itself. Then, now there will be respiratory distress. What it does? Grivam shirascha sangrihya. That means Grivam shirascha sangrihya means there is respiratory centers in the griva and shiras. Respiratory centers are there in the griva and shiras. That will be stimulated. And that results in Sleshmanam Samudirecha Karoti Pinasam Tena Ruddo Gurugurakam Tata Ativa Tivra Vekcha. It is going to induce the respiratory distress. Further respiratory distress will increase. And then he says, it is going to produce Pinasa, that is upper respiratory manifestation. Then Ativa Tivra Vegancha Shwasam, that is lower respiratory manifestation, that is breathlessness. Why I am stressing Pinasa here? So that is a very important clinical sign to differentiate cardiac asthma and the bronchial asthma. In case of bronchial asthma, the typical episode starts with sneezing. Suddenly, all of a sudden, patient in the midnight gets up. There will be cold, sneezing, followed by chest tightness. Then there is heavy breathing, difficulty in the breathing, for breathing. And in case of cardiac asthma, you don't find Pinasa. There is no upper respiratory manifestation. That is the difference between Tamakashwasa and cardiac asthma. Okay, that's the thing. That's the reason Charaka used the term Pinasa in this context. Further, the Nidana, we have the Nidana, that is Vatakopa and Kaphakopa, that we know. And there is one more disease, Kaphajakasa. And many a time, when there is nowadays, if you look into bronchial asthma, And in the olden textbooks, you have bronchial asthma and chronic bronchitis. Nowadays, everything is COPD. And one is bronchial asthma, another is COPD proper. There are some differences between bronchial asthma and COPD. And here, from clinical point of view, that is allergy is common in bronchial asthma and it is infrequent in COPD. And sputum production is infrequent in case of bronchial asthma, whereas sputum is copious in case of COPD, that is bronchitis. Then clinical symptoms intermittent variable, that is episodic is bronchial asthma. Episodic is bronchial asthma. And whereas COPD, that is chronic bronchitis pattern, is that is persistent and it is progressive. That is very important. Okay, then the course of illness, it is stable with the exacerbations, whereas progressive and worsening COPD patients condition worsens as the year passes. So that's what. Now, Tamakashvasa versus Kafajakasa. There is some similarity. Here it is said that Yada Srotamsi Samruddhya Marutaha Kafakpurvaka. There in Kafajakasa also, same thing is said, Vraddaha Sleshmaha Anilam Ruddva Kafakasam Karotihi. Anilam Ruddva Kafakasam Karotihi. So now, same thing is explained in both the occasion, but one is Tamakashvasa, another is Kafajakasa, because Tamakashvasa is always episodic. Always episodic, and Kafajakasa is a continuous manifestation. Now, in the clinical practice, we come across with the patients. Few patients of bronchial asthma patients, they will present with the manifestation of episodic asthma. They will get exacerbation, severe exacerbation at night. When they come to our clinic, they don't have any chest signs. Okay, and there are some other people, they will be holding inhalers, and when you place a stethoscope, you will find the chest signs, and they will be having respiratory distress. You can see that is Kafajakasa. And those who get episodic, that Tamakashvasa. Episodic asthma is Tamakashvasa. Chronic stable asthma is chronic stable asthma or chronic progressive condition. Chronic stable and with the interspersed with the episodes, exacerbations. That is Kafajakasa. Chronic stable asthma with episodes. That's what Charaka said. Tamakaha kafakasetu. Kafakasa, also patient develops tamakaha. Tamakaha kafakasetu syachet pittanubandaha bandajaha pittakasakharam kriyam yata tatra yatavastam prayojet. Right? So that is that episodes in chronic bronchitis, exacerbations, that is those exacerbations are tamaka only, that one episode will come in between. That is the difference between Tamakashvasa and Kafajakasa. And of course, one more difference, Sleshmanam Uchamaneto Brasham Bhavati Dukkitaha Taseva Vimokshante Murtam Labate Sputam. Sukham. So here, patient in case of Tamakashvasa, a little sputum will come after a copious, after a bout of cough, there will be little sputum will be expectorated. With that, patient finds some relief. Whereas in case of Kafajakasa, the sputum is copious, I said. In case of Kafajakasa, that is COPD, it is common. The copious sputum, that is Bahalam, Maduram, Igdam, Nishtivati, Gahanam, Kapam, Kasamano, Vakshaha. That's what, same thing. So this is the difference between Tamakashvasa and Kafajakasa. Then Chudrakshvasa, I will not elaborate this thing. Then coming to Kasa. Of course, Kasa may be a primary illness, Kasa may be a secondary manifestation, and if it is a secondary manifestation, it could be Nidanartaka Roga or it could be Paraspara Anubandhi Roga. I will not be elaborating this, you know. And Kasa Beda Hetu is explained in Charaka and Ashtanga. So that I would like to explain Kasa Beda with these headings only. Pratika Visheshena Tasya Prayo Saramhasa Vedana Shabdair Vaishistyam Kasanam Upajayate. So there are 5 reasons based on this Kasa is classified. One is Hetu, another is Pratigata, the third one is Vedana, fourth one is Shabda, and the fifth one is Kapha. Of course, it is not there in this, but in the definition it is there. So I have included fifth one. Now based on that Hetu, So now if you go through the Nidana, you will find Kshaya Dosha Prapidanehi. Then if you turn the textbook, you will get Hikka Shwasa Kasanam Paraspara Anubandhitva. Then Kantorasa Pratigatats. Sometimes Kantorasa Pratigatats is a Nidana for Hikka Shwasa. So here Kantorasa Pratigata refers to there is obstruction, that is the tumors pathology in the Srotas. There is one more description in Ashtanga Sangraha Nidana Sthana, 3rd chapter, that is Kasa. Context, he says, Nidana of Kasa, he says, Kashaya Vijjalam Asatmya Katu Amla Lavanoshanehi Ruksha Shita. Then he says, Anyeshcha Tadvideh Datukshaya Avaranakaribi. So now, the term Vijjala has a very clinical significance. What is this Vijjala? So Vijjala refers to Vijjala, that is Klinna Pichila Prayo Guna Vishesha. Vijjala means Klinna Pichila. What is this? Rakta Mamsadinam Yat Kledam Avahati Tadut Kledhi. Rakta Mamsa Kleda, it brings about Rakta Mamsa Kleda. So if you see Rakta Mamsa Kleda, Tvagrakta Mamsa Kleda results in Shofa Vidradi, results in Shofa Vidradi, that is pneumonia, right? If you go through Ashtanga Hridaya Nidanasthana, 2nd chapter, that is Jwara Chikitsa, Jwara Nidana, where if you go through Kafaja Jwara, it is very clearly said, Visheshad Aruchi Jadyam, Sroto Rodo Alpavegata, Praseka Mukamadhuryam, Ralle Pashwasa Pinasaha, Ralla Sachardanam Kasa, Stambaha Shaityam Twagadishu, like this, the description goes. So Sroto Roda, pneumonia, and lung abscess, that is Vijjala is the cause. Vijjala is the cause. Then that is Hetu Beda. So you need to understand in that way. Then Kantorasa Pratigatat. So Kantorasa Pratigat, I would like to go to Granthi Visarpa. So Granthi Visarpa is a tumor pathology, probably malignant tumor. He says Granthi Malam Krute Tivra Ujanam Stulanam Manunam Cha Dirgavrata Raktanam Tadupatapa Jwara, Atisara, Kasa, Hikka, Swasa, Shosha, Pramoha, Vaivarnya, Arochaka, Vipaka, Praseka, Chardi, Murcha, Angabanga. He says, if it involves the respiratory system, then Kasa, Hikka, Swasa, Shosha. If it involves the GAT, then Atisara, Vipaka, Praseka, Chardi. If it involves the nervous system, then if the tumor in the nervous system, then Pramoha, Murcha, like this. If it involves the skeletal, the bones, then Angabanga. Right, so this is multiple the tumor pathology explained, the internal tumors explained under the heading of Granthimala. So this Granthimala Kantorasa Pratigata, that is the bronchogenic carcinoma. Probably he is referring to bronchogenic carcinoma. So we need to understand Ketu Bedena Kasa. You need to understand Anubandha, Anubandhya, Paraspara Anubandha. So all that we need to understand. Then thereby we need to understand the Kasa. Then further, if you go through the Pururupa of Kasa, so it is said in Ashtanga Sangraha, at the end he says, Aswastham Hridayasya cha. The cardiac illness can produce cough. Right? If you go through Charaka and Sushruta, Bojjanam Avarodascha. And Sushruta says, Bojjoparodha. What is Bojjanam Avarodha? Ashaktirva Abhyavaharne. Bojjoparodha means same. Grasasya Gale Sangraha. That is oropharyngeal dysphagia. Very commonly seen in our bedside. That is in case of stroke. Patient will have a cough. That cough is because of oropharyngeal dysphagia. So that is Kasa Pururupa. That explains the cause. That is Swatantra Paratantra Vyadhi. It is said Dvida Swatantra Paratantvatvat Vyadayo Antya Punardvida Purvaja Pururupakya Jata Paschat Upadrava Ashtanga. He says, if you look into the Kasa, if you consider the Kasa as the primary condition, then Aswasthyam Hridayasya, cardiac pathology, is Pururupa. The Purvaja is Pururupa. And if you consider Aswasthya Hridaya as the primary illness, Jataha Paschat Upadrava. So Kasa is Upadrava. If you see Bojjanam Avarodha, that is Ashaktirva Abhyavarane as the primary condition, then Kasa is Upadrava. And if you see from the angle of Kasa, if you make a diagnosis of Kasa, then the cause is Ashaktir va Abhyavaharani. So that is what. So in this way, we need to understand Hetu of Kasa. Then Pratigata, it is said in Ashtanga Hridaya, that is Yadyapi Panchanam Kasanam Vayurevaha Samavayi Karanam Tata Api Nimitta Karanam Pitta Adinam Bhavet Vayo Pratiyate Vedaha Pittena Kapena Prakshatena Dhatukshayaha. Then he said, Sankuchite Sroto Biryo Anyata Sankuchite Sroto Bir Anyata Pratihanyate Pratigata Vedat. So Pratigata, only two things. One is Sankuchita, another is Sroto Bir Pratihanyate. Sankuchitai Pratihanyate, one thing. The second is Sroto Biryo Anyata Pratihanyate. That is, one is obstructive lung disease, another is restrictive lung disease, that is based on the Samprapti. Then obstructive lung disease, that is Kaphaja Kasa, then restrictive Shayaja and Chataja. The description, then continue. I'll be skipping the slides. Now the Vedana, that is based on the Vedana, that is signs and symptoms. Vedana, not only Ruja as such, pain as such, it is signs and symptoms. We have Vataja, Pittaja, Kaphaja, Kshataja, Kshayaja. Of course, not only that, it is said in Ashtanga Hridaya, very clearly said, Trayaha Mishra Yapya Dvayat. So Dvandvaja and Sannipataja is also there. So based on that, we need to understand, of course, if you go through the Chikitsa, Charaka Chikitsa, Kasa, Tanukapha, Ganakapha, in Vataja Kasa, Tanukapha, Ganakapha, Pittaja Kasa, Tanukapha, Ganakapha, Kaphaja Kasa, like this, you have Anubandha, Pittanubandha in Kaphaja Kasa, all that we see, that is Mishra, that is Dvandvaja or Sannipataja Kasa is also there. And in the context of Sadhya Sahita, it is very clearly mentioned in Ashtanga Hridaya, Dvandvaja and Mishra is also explained. And based on Shabda, we don't find much description in our text. Of course, if you search in the Western medicine, the current science, you have a lot of descriptions: bovine cough, brassy cough, paroxysmal cough, barking cough, whooping cough. So many things are there, and I will not stretch. I will not go through this because of the time factor. Now, based on the kapha, it is dry cough and productive cough, shushko vasako sakafo api. So I will not go into this slide and further. So it is a dry cough and productive cough. You just go through Vataja Kasa, the nature of expectoration, then Pittaja Kasa, Kaphaja Kasa, Kshayaja Kasa, Sannipataja Kasa. You will get the description, that is Pitta Nishtivana and Pittaja Kapha. We know that Maduram, Bhalam, Maduram, Snigdam, all that you know. So like this, I will not go into detail of those things. Already 1 hour is over. Now there is a description in Sushruta. So Sushruta and Dalana, they try to give a differential diagnosis for Uraksha and Urakshata and Kshataja Kasa. So as per Dalana, Urakshata, blood mixed sputum from the beginning itself, and Shatakshina, dry cough followed by blood mixed sputum. And in case of Raja Yakshma and Kshayaja Kasa, Yakshma, Kasa, Jwara are Ekadoshaja, and Kshayaja Kasa, there is a mistake, Kshayaja Kasa, I wrote Kshataja, it is Kshayaja, it should be Kshayaja Kasa, Kasa, Jwara are Tridoshada, that is a difference. Of course, it is a description of Dallana, not my opinion. As per Charaka, Kshataja Kasa is just a repetition of Shatakshina or Urakshita, and Kshayaja Kasa, or Rajakshma itself, and Kshataja Kasa, Sahasajanya Rajakshma itself, and Kshayaja Kasa is nothing but other three causes of Rajakshma that results in Kshaya. There is no much difference between Kshayaja and Kshayaja Kasa and Rajakshma as such, as per Charaka. Anyway, then Kasa Samprapti. This is very interesting. Once again, Kasa Samprapti is act of cough. That's it. Nothing more than that. It doesn't explain pathogenesis. It explains only act of cough. Prano hi udana anugataha pradushtha. Prano hi udana anugataha. So pradushtha, dushti, the first figure, the pradushtha, that is irritation in the Shrotas. Then prana becomes pranavata, that inspiration is held in between. Then udana, it is converted into udana. So sudden forcible expiration. Okay, then that is comes out through the mouth. That is kasa. So that is a definition of prano hi udananugataha pradushta. Cough is a sudden and variable expiratory thrust of air from the lungs through the air passage associated with phonation, which momentarily interrupts the physiological pattern of breathing. Prana is obstructed, momentarily interrupts physiological pattern of breathing. That is prana. Udananugata, variable expiratory thrust, udananugata. Right? Reason, pradushtha, the irritation. So that is nothing but the kasa samprapti, that is nothing but the cough reflex. And same thing is told. Probably, am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, let me continue. Now,
Yes, sir.
same thing is told in Charaka also. Adah pratihato vayur urdhaswata samashritah udana bhavam mapanha. Udana bhavam mapanha. So here, adah pratihata swata, that is pranavata is obstructed. Udana mapanna. So that is a very same things in told in other words in Charaka, but Charaka elaborated kante saktas tatavarasi avishya shiran kani sarvani purayan. So same thing. So but he has elaborated in detail. So now kante saktas tatorasi avishya shirasi khani sarvani purayan. That means the larynx, supraarangularia, trachea, bronchi, ear canals and eardrums, pleura, pericardium, diaphragm, esophagus and stomach. These structures, receptors in these areas, they get irritated. That is that is a cause for this. Then that will stimulate the vagus nerve. That will stimulate the vagus nerve. That is adha pratihata. The adha vagus nerve activity is blocked now. Now because of the irritation, cuff receptors are stimulated, and that stimulates the vagus. So the center, the CNS cortical modulation, that is cuff center, is stimulated, and then the effect abanjan akshipan deham hanumanye tata akshini netra prashtam urap parsho nirbujjha stambayam statah shushko va sakafo va kasanat kasaha. That is the second part. Spinal, motor, phrenic, vagus, expiratory muscles including pelvic sphincters, then diaphragm, larynx, trachea, bronchi, all these effectors will be stimulated and cough takes place. In short, adha pratihato vayur urdhaswatam samashritah udana bhavam mapannam. Same thing. In short, that much only, and elaboration is kante saktani till uchchates. Okay. Then of course, Ashtanga, Hridaya and Sangraha, that is Dhatukshaya and Margavarna Vatakopa, and Apanavata vitiates and moves upwards. All this description, then it is going to stimulate the urus, particularly urus rasasthana vitiates Udanavata, and then the kasa. This is basically the description of Udavarta, description of Udavarta itself. Of course, if you go through the Udavarta Samprapti in Charaka, you will find. So Udavarta Samprapti is elaborated. Udavarta, one of the manifestations is Kasa Shwasa, and how Kasa Shwasa is manifested, Apanavata to Kasa Shwasa, that is explained in Ashtanga, Hridaya and Sangraha in the context of Kasa Samprapti. That much only. So now the last this is Rajakshma. So I will take hardly another 7 to 10 minutes. So before starting Rajakshma, we should know something regarding the Nidana. Asatmendriyar Sanyoga, Prajnaparada and Parinama are Bahya Hetu. Dosha, that is Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Raja, Tama. And Dusha, that is Dhatu, Upadhatu, Mala, Indriya, Ashaya, Avayava, Manas, Vajas are Abhyantar Hetu. From the point of Dosha Prakopa, Sannikrishta is Achaya Purvaka Nidana and Viprakrishta is Chaya Purvaka Nidana. From the point of Vyadhi, Sannikrishta is Abhyantar Nidana and Viprakrishta is Bahya Nidana. So there is a difference. From the point of Dosha Prakopa, it's different. From the point of Vyadhi, it's different. Sannikrishta, Viprakrishta. Then Pradhanik Nidana is Vyadhi Hetu and Vyabhichari Hetu is only Dosha Hetu. Then Utpadaka Hetu is Vyadhi Hetu, acts as initiating factor for the illness, and Vyanjaka Hetu is Dosha Hetu and acts as exciting or supportive to Utpadak Hetu. Exciting or supportive to Utpadak Hetu. So now Rajakshma, that is Shoshasya Ayatanani, 4 Ayatana, you know that Sahasam Sundaranam Kshayo Vishamashanam Iti. We know that 4 Ayatana are Bhaihetu, 4 Ayatana are Chayapurvaka and Viprakrishna Nidana from the point of Dosha Prakopa. 4 Ayatana are Viprakrishta and Bahya Nidana from the point of Vyadi, that is Rajakshma. 4 Ayatana are Vyabhichari Hetu and vitiates only Dosha. 4 Ayatana are Vyanjaka Hetu as well as Dosha Hetu and acts as supportive factor for Utpadaka Hetu. So it is said in Madhava Nidana, Viprakrishtam Karanam Chaturvidamaha. So this is Viprakrishta Karana. So he said about Anikrishta Viprakrishta. So I have analyzed in detail. So it is like this. And further, how this 4 Ayatana Viprakrishta Karana, what it will do? That is, it will have a deleterious effect on Dhatu and Ojas. That's what. Karstena Sharira Vradikarastu ime bhavaha bhavanti tadyata kala yogaha swabhava samsiddhi ahara saustamam avigataschethi. So it is a Sharira Vradikara bhava. It will negate the Sharira Vradikara bhava. That means it will have a deleterious effect on Dhatu and Ojas. And which Ojas? It is all Ojas. There are 4 types of Ojas as per Hemadri. That is Dhatunam Tejasi, that is Ashtabindu. Raso, that is Shuddha Raktha. Tata Jivita Shunite, Shuddha Raktha. Shuddha Rasa and Shuddha Raktha. Then Sleshmani Prakriti. So these 4 Oja, 4 types of Oja is, all Ojas is affected in case by the 4 Ayatana. And what is the effect? Person is prone to develop any disease now. Shaririyani, Atistulani, Atikrishani, Anivista, Mamsa, Shonita, Asthini, Durbalani, Asatnya, Ahara, Upachithani, Alpa Aharani, Alpa Satvani, Bhavanti, Avyadi Sahani. So now, Vyadi Asahani, now this is Vyadi Asahani. Why? Sharirani, Atistula, Atikrishani, Asatnya, Ahara, Upachithani, then he says Anivista Mamsa Shonita. What is this Anivista Mamsa? That is Vishama. Anivista means Vishama. Slata, Mamsa, Shonita, Asti. So why he said only 3 dhatu? So here Shonita stands for Pitta. When there is Pitta Dushti, Pitta Prakopa, then Rakta Dushti, then Vata Prakopa, Asti, then Mamsa stands for rest all. Rasa, Mamsa, Medha, Majja, Shukra. So Mamsa here stands for rest all. Okay, so then the Sarva Dhatu is affected by the 4 Ayatana. So now person from Patyanika Bala, he will move to Nispratyanika Bala. Then Vikara Vigatha Bhava. Vikara Vigata Bhava, its presence. Now from this stage, if he indulges in 4 Ayatana, Chaturveda Ayatana, then he will move to Vikara Vigata Bhava Abhava. He is susceptible now. And it is also said, Rajakshmi is Aupasargika Roga. We know that, I will not repeat that shloka, that Shosha is because of Prasanga, Gatsasparsha. Now it is said in Charaka Sharira, Mithya Yoga of Sparshanendriya result, that particularly Yo Bhuta Visha Vatanam Akalena Agata Aschayaha, he says. Similarly, Asatmendriyartha Sanyoga of Granendriya, Bhuti Bhuta Vishadvistaha Gandayecha. So that is Mithya Yoga of Sparshanendriya and Mithya Yoga of Granendriya is one of the factor for contagious illness. Then of course, it is said contagious illness, it spreads to mass. Even the tuberculosis are Rajakshmi in this context. Now here Rajakshma, if you go through the mythological story, it is very clearly said, Tato Daksha Prajapate Krodo Nishwasa Rupena Murtiman Bhutva Nisritya Yakshma Rupena Rohinyam Atiprasangena Avilam Chandram Avishat. So Nishwasa Rupena Murtiman Bhutva Nisat. So it is Rajakshma spreads by droplet infection. There is error here, spreads missing. Then Rajashma is a contagious disease, spreads by droplets. It is very clearly said. It may becomes Janapada also. Dharma is responsible for Janapada. Then in the context of Janapada, Sushruta Sutra 6th chapter, he says, Visha Ushade Pushpa Gandena Vayuna Upanitena Akramyate Yo Deshas Tatra. Like that the description goes, and the commentator says, Tatra Nasarandrena Nugatena Vayuna Kasa Shwasa Pratishaya Gandhajnana Brahma Shirorujaha Twagindriya Gatena Jwara Masuri Kadaya. So it spreads by Nasa or Twagindriya. That's he says Shwasakasa Pratishaya, the manifestations of Rajakshma or nowadays COVID. That is nowadays COVID. So with this, that is Rajakshma, Bhutabhishanga. Bhutabhishanga is the cause for Bhutabhishanga is a cause for Rajakshma. Bhutabhishanga is also known as Vishakrimi or Pishachi. Bhutabhishanga acts as Unabhava Hetu for Rajakshma, and Bhutabhishanga is Agantu Nidana and is Abhishankaja Vikara. Then Bhutabhishanga acts as Pradhanika Nidana for Rajakshma. Bhutabhishanga acts as Utpadaka Hetu for Rajakshma. So with this, I think I will be saying thanks for the patient's hearing and giving me an opportunity. I am once again thankful to the principal, the management, principal, and the Department of Roganidana, all my beloved teachers in the Department of Roganidana, because I used to come to Hubballi. 2-3 times I came to Department of Roganidana in Hubballi, and I'm having very good relation. So I'm once again thankful to you all. Thank you for giving opportunity. Okay.
Yes, sir.
ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ
Yes.
ಸರ್
Yes, sir. Namaste.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
ನಂದೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಒಂದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು.
Yes,
ಈಗ
sir.
ನಾವು ಮೂಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಪ್ರಾಣವಾಹ ಸ್ಮೃತಸಾಂ ಹೃದಯ ಮೂಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ವಾ?
Yes, sir.
ರಸವ ಸ್ರೋತಸ್ಸಿ ಬಂದಾಗಲೂ ರಸವಾನ ಸ್ಮೃತಸಾಂ ಹೃದಯ ಮೂಲಂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮನೋವಾಹ ಸ್ರೋತಾಂತಿ ಹೃದಯಾಶ್ರಿತ ಬಸಚಿದಮನ್ನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಊಜುವಾಹಿ ಸ್ರೋತಃ ಹೃದಯ ಸ್ಥಿತ ಇತ್ಯರ್ಥಃ.
Yes, sir.
ಈಗ ಊಜುವಾಹ ಸ್ರೋತಸ್ಸು ಹೃದಯ ಸ್ಥಾನ,
Yeah.
ಮನೋವಾಹ ಸ್ರೋತಸ್ಸು ಹೃದಯ ಸ್ಥಾನ, ರಸವಾಹ ಸ್ರೋತಸ್ಸು ಹೃದಯ ಸ್ಥಾನ, ಪ್ರಾಣವಾಹ ಸ್ರೋತಸ್ಸು ಹೃದಯ ಸ್ಥಾನ.
ಸರಿ.
ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
Sir, I think Kiyanta Shirasiya, the very beginning of the chapter, Charaka says, Shiras refers to Urorodaya and Shirorodaya. That Chakrapani commentary. That we need to differentiate. That is Chakrapani commentary. We need to differentiate. Sometimes Radaya, what is Radaya? What is Radaya? That we have to differentiate. Probably that description is there in the Charaka Kiyanta Shirasiya. If that is thing. And Ojas, of course, Ojas is Sarva Sharira Vyapi. That if it is Sarva Sharira Vyapi, it should move in the Shrotas. And that is Echa Vahanti. It is Echa Vahanti. That is Rasa Raktadi Dravadatu. Along with that, Ojas is also moving. Along with that, Ojas is also moving. So, Ojas, there is no doubt. Rasa, no doubt, because from the Rasa, Chaturimshata Damani, that is Pandu Samprapti is very clearly said. That is Pandu Samprapti very clearly said. Pradhana Bhuto Shiroradaya, right? Probably this screen is visible. Charaka Samiti is visible now, right? Sir?
That's true. But when it
Pradhana Bhuta Shiroradaya Rogam Abhidayakam. So, when we speak about Manas, we have to think about Shiroradaya. When we speak about Prana, Rasa, and Ojas, that is Uroradaya only. That is Uroradaya only. And Rasava Shrota is Mula is also the Radaya.
But
that's the reason.
There is no just like Shirorudaya, but there is no reference as such Ururudaya.
Of course, Radaya is there in the Urus, no doubt. Hriday is
That is
there in the
true. That
Urus.
is Hriday is there in the Urus, but this
No doubt.
Hriday is there. But like Siro Hriday is mentioned, but Uro Hriday is not mentioned. That's what I mean to say.
That is,
But
Hridaya is Kostanga. Right? Hriday is Kostanga.
yeah,
Kosta refers to
Panchadesha
whole,
Kostanga. It is
yeah, that is
Panchadesha.
middle part. And if you go through Rasa Pradosha Vikara, it is very clearly said by Sushruta, Ratpanduroga. Radroga is Rasapradoshi Vikara. And Radroga can produce, uh, uh, Pranavashato Lakshana, because the Mula is common for both. That is, for Pranavashatas also Hridaya, Rasavashatas also Hridaya. So Rasavashata Vikara can produce Pranavashata Vikara manifestations, such as in case of cardiac failure, patient will have breathlessness. Reason is the Mula. Second, Pratyasannani Srotamsi, that is Vimanasthana. He says, Srotamsi eva datavascha dhatu neva pradushyanti pradushta. So in that context, it says, Pratyasannani Srotamsi. They are interrelated Srotams. They get vitiated. That is possible. One Srotas vitiates and nearby Srotas gets vitiated.
That is there.
That is there. So with that, it is very clear that Rasa Shrotas here refers to Hridaya and Pranav Shrotas also Hridaya. So thereby we can give a justification to cardiac failure and bronchial asthma both. And second thing is Mana is Shiro Hridaya definitely, and Pranav Shrotas Hridaya definitely this Hridaya only, same Hridaya only, Uro Hridaya only. Yes, sir. Hope I have cleared to a extent, right?
Okay.
Right, sir. Right. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Next question is, how Purisha become Bala to the patient of Rajyakshma?
So, I think this is not a big issue. Avastambaha Purishasya. And see, Avastha pocket is said. Pakvashayasta praptastam shoshamanasya vanninah. See, Udaka is the major issue in the body. Human body is made up of fluid. Around 60% Hema Malini also comes in TV. We are seeing nowadays in the TV ad. This is been told long before in Samhita. This is been told long before in Samhita. Charaka said, Deho rasajo ambubaho. That is Trishna context. Charaka Chikisa 22nd chapter, if I am not wrong, it is Charaka Chikisa 20. Deho rasajo ambubaho. Deha is made up of ambu. If you are giving virechana, dravakshaya will be there. That is going to worsen the condition. Okay, the Pakvashaya, where Shoshamanasya Vanya, Drava Shoshana takes place and Drava is taken into the system. And if you are going to induce diarrhea, loose stools, diarrhea, then what happens? Body is further deprived of even Udaka also. So that's what Deho Rasajo Ambubo is the answer for that. Hope this question is clear. Mahima madam. Somebody, Mahima madam, another question kelide?
Howd sir. Mamtaj madam.
Right, Mamta madam.
Sir. How to understand Tamaka Swasa as Pitta Sthana Samudbhava Janya Vyadhi even after Kapha Sthana is involved?
That commentary, in the context, the commentary, I think it is very clear. It is Kaphavata is only Kaphavata Nidana. Basically, Kaphavata Nidana is Vyanjaka Hetu. Kaphavata Nidana is Vyanjaka Hetu. It is very clearly said in the commentary by Chakrapani. I think that clarifies so many issues. Right? Right? That is natu kafavatavat arambakatvam iti darsheti. Pittasthana samudbhavetyanena pittasya urdhvasthana sambandha. Pitta sthana has a relation with the urdhvasthana, one thing, one statement. Then he says natu kafavatavat arambakatvam iti darsheti. Arambakata means preraka. See, a patient of bronchial asthma is there in a classroom and healthy people are there. Many students are there. A sweeper comes and dusting, he will do the dusting. And naturally one can think that one will have one or two sneeze. But the patient of bronchial asthma, he will get sneeze followed by breathing difficulty. See, now why he developed breathing difficulty? Because this is the dust has stimulated. That is vata kapha nidana, right? Rajasa doma vata abhyam. Rajas is the cause. Rajasa doma vata abhyam is the cause that has stimulated. That is arambaka. One episode is the episode of tamaka shvasa is started by kaphavata nidana, but the disease lies in pittasthana. The disease, the genesis of the disease that is by pittasthana. That is pittasya urdhvasthana sambandha. There are a lot of understanding here. There are a lot of hypotheses are mentioned in the Western medicine. From the Western medicine, we can give one is the best thing is reflex expectorants and the embryonic life relation. Then we can give such references. Say we do amashaya shodhana for tamakashvasa also. We do amana thereby kapha, because amashay gata vata is amashay gata vata lakshana is swasakasa. Once again, see there we have from Ayurveda also we have understanding. We have understanding from the present day science also. So pittasthana, probably hyper-responsive bronchial tree. Hyper-responsive bronchial tree is because of the constant the inflammatory changes, a tendency for inflammation in the trachobronchial tree. That is the issue. That is pittasthana. And kaphavata arambakatvam, that is probably a exciting factor. That is preraka, venjaka hetu. So kaphavata is venjaka hetu, pittasthana is utpadaka hetu. So that's the answer, I think, for this answer question.
Next question will be, there are
Right.
four types of Shrotodushti. Explain
Right.
us examples of each type of Shrotodushti of Pranava Shrotas. Which type of Shrotodushti is common in Pranava Shrotas?
Right. Now the thing is, I would stick on to only one, not all four. I believe it is Sangha. Any objections? There are many people, they say Sangha and Vimarga Gamana. There are many people, they say Sangha and Vimarga Gamana. I really object for this particular description. Sangha and Atipravritti. Now, Atipravritti is the consequence of Sangha. Sangha is the primary manifestation. Atipravritti is the effect of Sangha. Now, when we say the pathogenesis, Sroto Dushti Prakara, what is the cause for that particular illness? Sangha is the cause. And it has resulted in Atipravritti, it has resulted in Vimargamana. That is the effect of Sangha. So, primary manifestation is Sangha. Probably I have cleared this question. Right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
One more question.
Actually,
Sir,
Dr. Prasanna, I will just share my views. When it comes to the samprapti of any vata, especially the Swasaroga, so there will be an excessive kapha. Kapha predominance is more important factor. So that particular kapha is the leading that particular kapha which is there in the predominant condition. So that particular kapha, how kapha is disseminated, for example, if there is an excessive mucus secretions will be there, that is an atipravritti, and that particular excessive mucus secretion will get dried it out by the help of vata dosha, that will cause the sangha. because of that particular sangha, there will be Nimarga Gamana. So in Swasaroga, initially there is an Ati Pravritti, followed by a sangha, then followed by Nimarga Gamana. So all the three together will make, that's the reason this Swasaroga is considered to be an disease will develop before the death of an individual for Swasa and Hika. So initially there will be Nati Pravritti, followed by Sangha, and then Marga Gamana. So all the three are involved in the pathogenesis of Swasaroga. So this is my view based on the classical references.
Okay. I said in the beginning, truth varies with individual to individual. Amtaz madam, in the beginning I said,
Yes, sir.
truth varies with the
Yes, sir.
from individual to individual. Truth varies from place to place. Truth varies from time to time. So it is all about
Yes,
you.
sir.
This is my understanding. I believe it is Sangha that has resulted. That is my view. And you are free to
Yes, sir.
analyze. I mean, you mean all the listeners are free to analyze and have their own understanding.
Yes, sir.
Right? And we have one problem in Ayurveda.
Okay.
Either and either can be pronounced in
Yes, sir.
either way. Either and either can be pronounced in either way.
That is the reason in Ayurveda there is an acceptance is there, no?
Right.
Annetu. Annetu. That's the reason Chakrapani says Annetu.
Right.
But there is a logical explanation based on the classical references. We should draw it out so that the student should not get it confused.
Yes, sir.
So
The disease is in the kapha sthana. Disease Shwasa Kasa is present in the kapha sthana. Shwasa Kasa is a disease of kapha sthana. The sthanika dosha effect will be there. Of course. The vitiated dosha is vata itself.
Kapha secretions will be there. Kapha accumulation of kapha is more in quantity. So that particular kapha will be getting dried out by the help of vata dosha because of Shoshana karma of vata. So this is my understanding, because then only we can give justice to that. Otherwise, based on only sangha, how the sangha will affect without the reciprocity of the kapha is the this thing. So again, it's in person to person varies, but again,
Right.
you have to defend based on the classical references.
Yes. Okay. Yes, madam.
Sir, one more question.
Please.
Understanding of Nidanarthakara Rogas in current COVID-19 situation.
Understanding of Nidanarthaka Roga in current COVID-19 and why this question appears, I don't know. I am not able to understand why COVID and Nidanarthaka. Why COVID and Nidanarthaka? I have not understood that aspect itself, because we know that is the Agantu Nidana. That is through the NASA. I just now I placed that slide also somewhere. This slide, right? That is right. In this slide, it is very clearly said that is NASA Randrena. Right? It can produce multiple manifestations. Shwasa, Kasa, Pratishaya, Gandha, Jnana, Brahma, Shiroroja. See, every disease, though it is Pranavashoto Vikara, Ati system, Ati Baddham, Kupitam, Alpalpam. Apart from that, there are other systemic manifestations. Similarly, in COVID also, it is a disease. It is a disease of multi-system, primarily affecting Pranavashotas. It affects the other Shrotas also. That is the only explanation from text is Srotamsi Vadatavasya Dhatu Neva Pradushyanti Pradushta. The explanation which I can give for this question, I think. Nidanarthakara in COVID is one big question for me. I have not understood. Why? What is the intention of asking
Yes,
this
sir.
question? I have not understood. Please, madam.
Okay, sir. Last question. How Vega Sandharana and Vyayama cause Dushti of Pranavaha Shrotas?
Everything is Ati only. That's it. Everything in Ati, that is harmful. That is Vega Sandharana. It's a big topic. I am that too in relation with Pranamashruta Vikara Vega Sandharana. Is a just like a um, big issue. It's difficult to explain in very short. And then Ayama here refers to Ati Vyam. That is Sahasa only. That is Sahasa only. That is Sahasa. It is very clear. Vyayama. Okay. And Vega Sandharana will have a deleterious effect. That only one sentence I can say. It has a negative effect. There is minimum work. Probably there till now there is no definite evidence to explain this thing. Vega Sandharana. I think we have done one work. Myself, one of my student, Dr. Shashank, we have done one work on Rajashma. So there we have done one work, collected some information regarding Veda Sangarana and Rajashma. Of course, there are few literatures. Some of them are convincing, some of them are not convincing. It's a big topic. Better we will discuss those things. You can give my contact number, madam. I will send that slide. I will send that thesis only. Right?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Last question, sir.
Yes, okay, no problem. I'm free.
Under which Janapadodvamsha Roga can we consider COVID-19?
Now, Janapadodvamsa, Vayu, Jala, probably the question is like that. Vayu, Jala, that understanding probably. They are asking from that angle or mode of spread. Mode of spread, it is a NASA Randra, it is all proved there, and we have a description. Granendriya, Sparshanendriya, we have a description. I have given the quotations also from Charaka Sharira, I think first chapter, Charaka Sharira, first chapter, sloka number 121 and 126, right? The mode of spread, that is Sparshanendriya as well as Mithya Yoga of Sparshanendriya and Mithya Yoga of Granendriya. So that is Vayu Dushti, definitely Vayu Dushti. And that's it. Any other questions? Any other questions, madam?
No, sir. Over, sir. Thank you, sir, for your enlightening the knowledge. 1 hour is not sufficient for you, I think so.
I have taken 1.5 hours. Right, okay, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you for enlightening us, sir.
Thank you. I will
On
be
behalf
sharing
of
the slide. I will be sharing the slide to you all. So
Yes,
kindly
sir.
pass it to students
Yes, sir.
so that they can go through this, because time factor, I have skipped so many issues.
Yes, sir.
Those things are there in the slide.
Yes, sir.
So thank you. Yes,
Yes,
madam.
sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Right. Shall I leave?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.